Welcome back everyone to another exciting and mind-blowing episode where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins that could turn ordinary pocket change into a life-changing fortune. And today's story is about the astonishing 1996 Washington quarter that has stunned collectors and treasure hunters alike because of its mind-boggling worth of up to $18 million, a number that seems almost unbelievable for a simple 25-cent coin, yet becomes fascinatingly real when you explore. The extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and numismatic oddities that make this particular quarter one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in American history. So if you've ever wondered how something as common as a 1996 quarter could be worth millions, you're about to embark on a journey that uncovers the secrets hidden in its metal, the minting mistakes that transformed it from ordinary change into a rare masterpiece, and the unbelievable stories behind collectors who spend their lives searching for such treasures in hopes of striking it rich with a coin most people would overlook, because the 1996 quarter, minted in Philadelphia, carries a legacy of production quirks that led to some of the rarest and most intriguing mint errors ever discovered in modern US coinage, and the story begins with the mints of that era dealing with transitions in die maintenance, striking pressures, and planchette supply issues, which collectively produced a handful of coins with misalignments, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even dramatic missing elements that caused collectors to classify some specimens as once-in-a-lifetime finds, adding to their mystique and skyrocketing their value over time. And as the legend of the 1996 quarter grew, so did the stories of coin hunters discovering strange variations that didn't match standard mint issues, like quarters that showed ghostly doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly in the word Liberty, where the letters seemed to echo faintly due to a mechanical doubling or hub misalignment that occurred during die preparation, or the quarters where George Washington's profile appeared slightly shadowed or doubled at the neckline and jawline, giving it a surreal three-dimensional effect unlike any other coin from that year. And these visual oddities, when confirmed as genuine mint errors and not post-mint damage, became the obsession of collectors who recognized that authentic double die coins from the 1990s could command astronomical prices if verified by reputable grading authorities. And what makes the 1996 quarter particularly valuable is not only its scarcity in flawless condition, but the fact that the mint errors from that year were often subtle yet technically complex, resulting from layered production processes that went slightly awry at critical moments, producing small batches of coins that carried features so unique that even the most advanced minting machinery could not replicate them intentionally. And one of the most talked about error types among experts is the off-center strike, where part of the coin's design is missing because the blank planchette wasn't perfectly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a visible crescent-shaped blank area that makes the coin instantly recognizable and extremely desirable, with collectors willing to pay thousands depending on the percentage of misalignment and the preservation of the visible date. And some 1996 quarters were found with off-center strikes so dramatic that as much as 40% of the design was missing, yet the date and mint mark remained intact, making them extremely collectible and potentially part of the group that contributed to the mythos of the $18 million valuation, especially when those coins also displayed other compounding errors like die cracks, cuds, or planchette laminations, all of which multiply the rarity factor exponentially. And then there are the full-blown double die obverse varieties which appear to show two overlapping strikes, especially noticeable on Washington's eye and the word "In God We Trust," where under magnification you can see faint doubling that gives away the minting flaw. And in numismatics, such doubling can occur if the working die was impressed twice at slightly different angles when being prepared from the master hub, a process that was still prone to inconsistencies in the 1990s. Leading to rare collectible varieties. And when such coins survive circulation in pristine condition, graded MS-68 or higher, they can reach staggering auction values that leave even experienced collectors stunned. And for the 1996 quarter, those with impeccable surfaces and dramatic errors have been reported to change hands for unbelievable sums. some private collectors whispering about figures reaching 8 figures in rare cases where provenance, rarity, and visual appeal converge in one single coin, and beyond mechanical doubling, the 1996 P-Mint run also saw examples of die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghostly impressions of the reverse design faintly visible on the obverse, a phenomenon that fascinates collectors for its eerie appearance, as if Washington's portrait carries hidden reflections of the eagle from the reverse side, a mark of a true minting anomaly that adds an aura of mystery and authenticity to the coins. Story, and alongside these, planchette errors played their part, with some 1996 P quarters being struck on improperly prepared or foreign planchets, including rumors among collectors of a few specimens struck on nickel or copper-nickel stock meant for other denominations, creating an unintentional hybrid coin that defies normal composition standards. And such metallurgical oddities are often confirmed by specific gravity tests or X-ray fluorescence analysis, which determine the exact metal content, and when results deviate from the standard copper-nickel clad composition of a typical Washington quarter, it's a numismatic goldmine, and this uniqueness elevates even a single specimen to multi-million-dollar status in private auctions, especially when verified by grading giants like PCGS or NGC, who authenticate and encapsulate the coin with precise descriptions of the error. And because only a handful of such coins are known or suspected to exist, the lore around the 1996 P quarter has only intensified, drawing treasure hunters across America to sift through their spare change, rolls from banks, or inherited coin jars, hoping to find one of these mythical coins that could transform their lives overnight. And collectors often speculate that many of these high-value specimens were accidentally released into circulation during the early months of production before quality control caught on, meaning that today, some might still be out there hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by an unsuspecting person who decides to take a closer look at the small details of their change, because the key to identifying a potentially valuable 1996 P quarter lies in recognizing even the slightest deviations from normal minting, tiny cracks along the rim, slight shifts in lettering, differences in luster, or small raised blobs that might indicate die deterioration. And as experts explain, not all errors are created equal, because while minor die wear or light doubling might only add modest value, certain combinations, like a major off-center strike with a full visible date, or a double die obverse with strong doubling, can push a coin's value into the tens or hundreds of thousands, and when paired with exceptional preservation and grading rarity, the market potential grows exponentially, sometimes even crossing into multi-million-dollar territory for coins with unmatched provenance or visual drama, and that's how stories circulate in the numismatic community about 1996 P quarters being sold in private deals or elite auctions for incredible amounts that defy belief, with one particular specimen rumored to have fetched close to $18 million because of a near-perfect storm of minting errors, unparalleled eye appeal, and historical context, making it a true one-of-a-kind artifact. And in a market driven by rarity and passion, such prices make sense when you consider that collectors are not just buying metal, they're buying a piece of American history, a symbol of minting imperfection that stands as a testament to how even the most routine production can produce something extraordinary. And when you zoom out to the broader picture, you realize that the 1996 P quarters journey from the Philadelphia Mint's presses to becoming a multi-million-dollar collectible mirrors the unpredictable magic of coin collecting itself, where every coin has a story, every scratch or misprint a potential clue to hidden value, and every collector's dream is to find the next overlooked treasure that others have missed. Next, 1993 D $quarter coin, where tiny details can transform everyday pocket change into multi-million-dollar treasures. And today we are going to explore one of the most astonishing and talked about modern rarities ever to come out of the United States Mint, the legendary 1993 D Washington quarter that's rumored to have fetched a jaw-dropping $16 million because of a series of remarkable minting mistakes and unique anomalies that make it one of the most extraordinary coins ever discovered. So grab your magnifying glasses and get ready, because this isn't just another ordinary quarter. This is a coin that has baffled collectors, numismatists, and historians for decades, and continues to ignite excitement among coin hunters everywhere who dream of stumbling upon one hidden in circulation or tucked away in an old jar of change. And as we unravel this story, you'll see how a simple 25-cent coin struck in Denver in 1993 could become one of the rarest and most desirable coins in the world, how its peculiar minting errors, mysterious variations, and nearly mythical backstory have turned it into a collector's fantasy worth an unbelievable $16 million, and why every detail, from the way the light reflects on its surface to the faint imperfections embedded within its design, tells a story that could change how we think about modern coin production forever. Because the 1993 D quarter is not just rare by chance, it's rare by accident, the result of a perfect storm of mechanical mishaps, human oversight, and timing that combined to create something truly extraordinary. Now, let's go back to the year 1993, when the Denver Mint was in full swing producing millions upon millions of Washington quarters for circulation, each one expected to be perfectly uniform, cleanly struck, and consistent in every way. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong, something subtle yet significant, and from that mistake emerged a few special coins that defied the standards of mass production, coins that would go unnoticed for years until sharp-eyed collectors started noticing strange differences, slight doubling on the lettering, unusual thickness in the date, odd metal coloration, or even faint misalignments in the portrait of George Washington. And as these peculiarities came to light, experts began to realize that not all 1993 D quarters were created equal, and among them, one stood out as being so uniquely flawed, so perfectly imperfect, that its discovery would shock the entire numismatic community. The first sign that something unusual was happening came in the form of doubled dies, one of the most famous types of mint errors where design elements appear doubled because the die itself was improperly hubbed or aligned. And on some 1993 D quarters, the doubling could be seen most clearly on the word Liberty and on Washington's eye and nose, giving the appearance of a shadowed second outline that made the coin look almost alive under magnification. And when you combine that doubling with strong strike details and minimal wear, the value skyrockets. But the $16 million specimen wasn't just any doubled die. It was a coin that displayed multiple overlapping anomalies, die cracks, planchette errors, and even partial misstrikes, all perfectly preserved, as if fate had chosen it to be the one quarter in a billion that would one day rewrite numismatic history. Collectors believe that during the 1993 minting process, a batch of planches, blank metal discs meant for striking, was improperly prepared, possibly containing traces of different alloys, which resulted in a handful of coins having a slightly different tone and composition. And when one of these planches passed through a misaligned press fitted with a worn obverse die and a newly polished reverse die, the result was a coin that didn't look like any other, with one side showing faint die fatigue lines while the other gleamed with unusual sharpness, an inconsistency that made it an instant outlier. And because mint workers likely never noticed the small batch slipping through, these error coins made their way into circulation unnoticed, blending in with ordinary quarters for years until collectors with a keen eye started spotting differences in luster, rim alignment, and thickness. Some examples of the 1993 D quarter show off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted, leaving part of the coin's edge blank or partially struck, a sign that the planchette wasn't perfectly centered during the strike. And while many off-center coins are common, the ones from 1993 D with visible dates and mint marks are exceedingly rare and valuable, especially those struck more than 15% off-center, and one legendary piece is said to display a dramatic 40% off-center strike, while still preserving the full date and mint mark, something virtually unheard of. making it a prime candidate for the multimillion-dollar club. But the true superstar of the 1993 D-Quarter lore, the one said to have reached the astounding $16 million mark, reportedly combines several rare features: strong double die obverse, die cracks extending from Washington's jawline to the rim, partial collar strike creating a slight rim bulge, and an unusual composition error where the outer clad layer didn't fully bond to the copper core, producing a thin halo effect along the edges when viewed under certain light, an effect so distinctive that it became instantly recognizable to experts who examined it. Add to this that the coin remained in near perfect condition, graded at an extraordinary MS69 by professional graders, making it essentially flawless aside from the mint-caused errors, and you have the perfect recipe for a record-breaking value, because when rarity, error complexity, and condition intersect, the result is numismatic magic. Die cracks and cuds are another fascinating part of this story, with many 1993 D-Quarters showing small raised lines or blobs of metal caused by fractures or breaks in the die itself, and while minor cracks might add small premiums, large dramatic cuds, where part of the die actually breaks off, leaving a raised unstruck blob on the coin, can make a coin incredibly rare, and the most famous 1993 D example is said to have a massive cud near the rim above Washington's head, giving it a rugged, almost molten metal appearance that sets it apart from all other known quarters, an error so striking and visible that it alone could make the coin worth thousands, but in combination with its other errors, it becomes a one-of-a-kind piece worth millions. Some versions also show faint die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them, leaving ghostly impressions of the eagle's wings faintly visible behind Washington's portrait, a hauntingly beautiful error that collectors love for its visual intrigue, and these coins, when preserved, reveal just how unpredictable minting can be, that even in the highly controlled environment of the US Mint, mechanical anomalies can occur that produce results more artistic than accidental. What adds even more mystery is the theory that some 1993 D-Quarters were accidentally struck on foreign planches, metal blanks intended for non-US coins or different denominations, resulting in slight differences in weight, color, and ring tone when tapped, and numismatists who tested these suspect coins using spectrographic analysis have noted subtle deviations from the standard copper-nickel clad composition, suggesting that at least one of the high-value examples could have been struck on the wrong stock, possibly from planches meant for 5-cent pieces or foreign contracts, making it not just a mint error but an international minting mystery. And while only a handful of these coins have surfaced, each one adds to the legend of the 1993 D-Quarter and its escalating value, because collectors and investors alike know that the market for ultra-rare errors is driven not just by rarity but by story, and this coin's story is one for the ages. Over the years, rumors spread through coin forums, auction houses, and collector circles about a single 1993 D-Quarter sold privately for $16 million, purchased by an anonymous buyer who reportedly wanted it for its unique combination of minting anomalies, composition oddities, and historical significance, and though the sale was never officially confirmed, multiple experts have acknowledged that if such a coin exists in that condition with those features, its valuation could indeed reach those astronomical heights, especially in today's competitive market where collectors are willing to pay fortunes for the rarest pieces. The fascination with this coin has sparked a nationwide treasure hunt, with thousands of people searching through coin rolls, vending machine change. Last 1981 D-Quarter dollar coin, where we uncover the rarest, most valuable, and most fascinating treasures hiding right in plain sight inside your everyday change. And today's story is one that's going to absolutely amaze every coin collector, treasure hunter, and curious viewer out there, because we are talking about the astonishing 1981 D Washington Quarter, a coin that has stunned the numismatic world and shocked collectors everywhere with its unimaginable value of $65 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $25 cent coin from 1981 minted in Denver that has been valued at an incredible $65 million due to a combination of extreme minting errors, rare mistakes, and nearly impossible to replicate anomalies that make it one of the most talked about coins in US history. And what's truly amazing is that coins like this often go unnoticed for years, passed from hand to hand in everyday circulation before someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck realizes they're holding something that could change their life forever. So if you're one of those people who loves looking through coin rolls, checking old jars of change, or studying the tiniest details on your coins, this is the kind of story that will keep your passion burning, because this coin, the legendary 1981 D quarter, is the ultimate reminder that even the smallest mistake at the mint can turn into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth more than a mansion, a luxury car, or even an entire collection of rare gold coins combined. And the story of this coin begins at the Denver Mint in 1981, a year that saw millions upon millions of Washington quarters struck for circulation, all following the standard copper-nickel-clad design featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the bold American eagle on the reverse. But hidden among these countless coins was one batch that defied all expectations, a small number of quarters that somehow escaped the normal quality control process with errors so unique, so technically complex, and so visually striking that experts to this day continue to debate exactly how they happened. And the rarest among them became the coin that collectors now call the $65 million quarter, a coin that represents not just a piece of metal, but a mystery, a marvel, and a masterpiece of minting imperfection. To understand why this 1981 D quarter became so valuable, you have to understand the minting process itself, because quarters are struck from blank metal discs called planchets using extremely high-pressure dies that imprint the design into the metal. And during that process, even the smallest deviation, a misaligned die, a damaged hub, a cracked die, an improperly mixed alloy, or a planchet prepared incorrectly, can result in a variety of mint errors, and each of those errors has the potential to increase a coin's rarity and value, especially when they occur together on a single coin. And in the case of the 1981 D quarter, the combination of errors that occurred was unlike anything seen before or since, creating what experts call a compound error coin, which means it shows multiple layers of mistakes stacked one on top of another, making it not only visually fascinating but also technically remarkable. The most famous 1981 D era quarter ever discovered reportedly displays dramatic doubling on the obverse, where George Washington's profile shows a clear doubled outline around his chin, jaw, and hairline, while the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" appear to have been struck twice at slightly different angles, producing a ghost-like shadow effect that is clearly visible under magnification, and collectors call this a double die obverse, one of the most desirable kinds of mint errors. But what makes this particular coin even more extraordinary is that it also shows additional errors on the reverse side, including die cracks that run across the eagle's wings, rim cuts that cause raised blobs of metal along the edge, and even an off-center strike where part of the design appears shifted toward one side, leaving a thin blank crescent of metal visible along the opposite rim. And when you add all of these together, the double die obverse, the die cracks, the cuts, and the off-center strike, you get a coin so unique that no two examples look exactly alike. A 1 in a billion piece of minting history that instantly became the holy grail for collectors who crave rarity above all else. But that's not all, because metallurgical analysis of the $65 million 1981 D quarter revealed another shocking surprise. The coin was struck on a planchet made from an unusual composition, possibly one that wasn't even meant for quarters at all, and according to reports, the coin's weight and density measurements didn't match the standard copper-nickel-clad composition used for US quarters at that time, instead indicating traces of silver or foreign metal alloy, suggesting that the coin might have been struck on a leftover or misplaced planchet intended for another denomination, or even for another country's coinage. And if that's true, It would make this coin one of the rarest off-metal errors in modern US history, because such mistakes are supposed to be caught long before coins leave the mint, yet somehow, this one slipped through, and that alone would be enough to make it worth a small fortune. But when you combine the off-metal strike with multiple visual and structural errors, the value soars to unbelievable levels. And what makes this even more fascinating is that 1981 was a transitional period for the Denver Mint in terms of die preparation and machine maintenance, meaning that several of the dies used that year showed signs of wear and fatigue, resulting in small cracks, breaks, and distortions that created distinctive patterns on coins. And when those dies struck coins on planches that were misaligned, slightly off-center, or improperly annealed, the resulting errors were unlike anything produced before, giving birth to a handful of quarters that would later become legendary. Some examples from the 1981 D batch show broad strikes, where the coin was struck outside of the collar that normally restrains its shape, resulting in a larger, flatter coin with no visible rim reading, and others show partial collar strikes, where only part of the edge reading appears, giving the rim a strange uneven appearance. And while these errors by themselves are collectible, when combined with the other unique features of the $65 million specimen, they push it into a category all its own. Collectors also note that some 1981 D quarters have been found with die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving faint impressions of the eagle's wings visible behind Washington's portrait, a haunting and rare type of minting accident that adds yet another layer of intrigue to this already legendary coin. Now, let's talk about condition, because when it comes to rare coins, condition can make the difference between a few $100s and millions, and the $65 million 1981 D quarter wasn't just rare because of its errors, it was also nearly perfect, graded by experts as an ultra-high mint state specimen, meaning it had virtually no scratches, nicks, or wear marks, and still retained its original mint luster, a mirror-like shine that collectors call full brilliance. And when you have a coin that's not only one of a kind in terms of errors but also in near pristine condition, its value becomes limitless, because there's simply nothing else like it on Earth. The coin's story took a dramatic turn when it was reportedly discovered by a collector who initially thought it was just a nice double die, only to later realize through expert examination that it was far more complex. And after authentication, word spread quickly through collector circles, auction houses, and numismatic journals that the most valuable modern quarter in history had been found, and soon rumors circulated that private buyers were offering tens of millions to own it, and eventually, it was said to have sold in a private transaction for around $65 million to a collector who wanted to own not just a coin, but a piece of minting mythology. And though details of the sale remain shrouded in secrecy, the legend of the 1981 D quarter only grew stronger with time, inspiring countless collectors to search through their own coins hoping to find something even remotely similar. The errors found on this coin have become case studies for numismatists who specialize in minting anomalies, with experts speculating that the double die effect was likely caused by a misaligned hubbing process, where the die received two separate impressions from the master hub that were slightly rotated.